Take a look at Hillary Clinton on her trip this weekend to Ireland. No, she's not campaigning in Indiana. Remember, she ruled that out, but she's drinking a beer nonetheless. Take a look.
This is an ambassadorial decision. It's a heart. It's a heart.
It is a harp, and that is beer diplomacy in action from Hillary Clinton. We're joined now by another all-star blogger, this one from a little bit closer to the mainstream media, but not quite. Politico.com's Ben Smith. Ben, thanks for being here, joining us from New York. And Ben, let's talk about this news out of the insurance industry today. Not a surprise that they would ultimately be in opposition to this, but what are the implications, to your mind, of AHIP coming out the way they did?
Well, I mean, as you say, it really isn't a surprise. The White House has been on this campaign to cast them as these greedy parasites, you know, leaching blood out of the system for months and months. It's amazing that they've stayed on board so long. I mean, they've been really public enemy number one in these ads from the DNC and allied groups for 4 or 5 months at this point. I mean, you know, I mean, what does it mean? I think that the report is largely going to be taken in very partisan terms. It's already the kind of wonky Democratic analysts are taking it apart, saying it overstates costs. On the other hand, I do think it kind of augurs the next argument out of conservatives and Republicans, which is cost, which is about, you know, this plan is going to raise your taxes, it's going to raise your premiums. I think that's starting to replace kind of this plan is going to come between you and your doctor.
Right, which of course may be the most salient line of attack that we've seen. And I guess, Ben, is it too late to torpedo this? Is this so far down the road? Or is this whole line of attack that you're suggesting may come from Republicans now that your fees are about to go up, really may halt all this progress that the White House has already made?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on just a couple of senators. It is late to decide that actually, never mind all that other stuff, this is our line of attack.
What is it, though? What is going to happen out of the Finance Committee tomorrow? Is that going to change anything? I mean, we know that this is not what the bill is ultimately going to look like, regardless of what the committee vote is. They've still got a lot of work to do. But do they get at least the appearance of momentum out of this vote tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think the timing of this report was sort of set up as it's, you know, a last-ditch effort to stop the vote tomorrow. I mean, I'm not on the Hill today. I'm not sure, you know, if some senator is going to take a look at it and say, "Oh my God, we can't do this." But that seems a little unlikely. I mean, that it's really directed at tomorrow's vote. And I think to the degree that that goes forward, there's more momentum.
Ben, I want to turn your attention to Hillary Clinton's interview on the Today Show this morning. You and I both, I know we were talking before the show, noted that I've never heard her sound so definitive in ruling out a future presidential run.
No, she's been very careful not to be definitive, and a lot of people around her think I mean, you know, it's not the top of her mind, but that she's still thinking about it. In fact, she's speaking next month.
Do you take her at her word?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure she meant to say it. I'm not sure if she really calculated it out. It's what she would have said, but it certainly seemed to be what she was thinking at that moment. And just like President Obama, you know, who said the same thing in 2004, I'm sure there's a way for her to walk it back.
Excellent point.
As a savvy observer of the media and political scene, how long does this give her before she gets asked the question again? I mean, are we going to give her some grace period and take her at her word and then forget about it in 6 months?
Well, the question, I mean, the thing is, if she gets asked it again real soon, if there's any difference, if she steps back at all, then that's really a story. I mean, you know, she's giving a speech to a group called NoLimits.org, which is Ann Lewis's new group, which exists solely to further, as far as I can tell, the kind of political vision and career of Hillary Clinton.
It seems like the home of her campaign email list.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, and to keep her campaign email list alive. And that's, you know, next month. And it's not clear what that organization really exists to do if she's not at least thinking about returning to the national scene.
You, like me, a New York City political junkie, and you're up there in New York. In watching this Bloomberg Bill Thompson race that is, you know, not interesting to most people, I'd imagine, because it's been a rather boring race with Bloomberg well in the lead. I just want to ask, is there something defunct about the Democratic Party in New York City and New York State that a guy who goes around term limits, twice voted in place by the residents of New York City, is getting sort of a free ride into office here?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it does seem, yes, the Democratic Party looks incredibly weak. They put up a candidate who in certain fundamental ways doesn't seem able to raise any money, is incredibly vulnerable on the core of his job. He's the city comptroller, and because, you know, arguably because the economy's been bad, but the funds he's been managing have been performing badly. So, and it's just not clear what record he's running on at all. And yet there is this free-floating anger at Mike Bloomberg and dislike of Mike Bloomberg. And despite the fact his opponent is barely running a campaign, it's not going to be a blowout.
He seems somewhat Teflon-like, though, at the moment as well.
And he wants every vote. He won't be happy unless he gets 100%. Ben Smith, elusive but elucidating. We appreciate your time.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm no Jane Hampshire, but thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ben. That does it for this edition of Top Line. Be sure to click us on again tomorrow.
It's twitter.com/The Note and keep that conversation going. You can do it in your pajamas if you'd like. There was just an element of truth in that comment, that this is the attitude.